that way. So, welcome everybody. It's a thrill to keep you company. Shelley, you're a listener or can you see me? She can't hear me either because she's on. All right, I wanted to.
I'm a listener. You know I can't eat it, but I live vicariously through you.
All right, thank you for being here.
That's what I could see.
Okay, these are the basics. I can see, I can see. Wait a minute, Adrian, you do have dough.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, all right. Everybody check their dough. This is the best time because I'm going to talk to you for a couple of minutes. It's not too sticky. It's not too hard.
It's too
Those
hard.
who are sticky, you might, those who are sticky, you might want to put that in the fridge while I speak for a few minutes. Those who they're too hard, work it. Another thing is, to work the dough, if it's too hard, push down, just like Andy's doing, you see him? Push down on it and get it as flat as a disc as you can, because that's going to help you once you start rolling. All right, we're going to do basics first. These are the basics of all the ingredients we're doing today. We're going to do 2 or 3 types of sweet applications to this dough, and we're going to do 2 savory applications. All right, the dough. Here's the thing about the dough. It's very sensitive to temperature. And when you roll rugelach in the summertime, like when I roll rugelach in the summertime in the catering kitchen, oh my God, I have to constantly go back in the refrigerator. What will happen is if your dough is too soft and mushy, it will stick like crazy to your workstation. It will also, and I'm not looking at flour on your board, right, Andy? Because you don't want the flour. Yeah. No. Oh, it's your plastic rack, maybe. Anyway, it not only will not roll well if it's too soft, it will drive you crazy, and it is worth constantly putting it into the fridge to work. Also, as an aside, if you are rolling a lot of them and it takes a bit of time, every time you roll a sheet pan of these, put it in the refrigerator. They bake better when they're chilled. They'll hold their shape better. All right, that's the dough. This dough works for sweet and savory because it has no sugar. As you know, it has butter, flour, and salt and cream cheese. That's it. And with savory fillings, it's perfect. It's a nice, flaky, puffy pastry that's not overworked. Here's the thing. I don't know what you found out, but my recipe tells you not to overbeat your dough, and that is very, very true. You can it's actually fine if you see little bits of butter in the dough as you go. As you roll, little bits, those little pockets of butter are going to keep your pastry very flaky. So you don't want to overwork it.
Risa, I have a question.
Yes.
The recipe you said didn't say anything about salt.
Oh, did it make a comment about, right, because I was meant to make a comment. If you use salted butter, you don't want salt.
Okay, that's all. I just make.
Right.
Bill asked me.
Yeah. So if you use unsalted butter, you want to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt to this dough. Did everybody, hey Linda, did everybody use salted butter?
Yes.
Yes.
Andy, unsalted butter?
No,
Yes.
not salted, unsalted.
Unsalted.
Oh, my apologies then. Yeah, so don't add it now. And it should be fine because we're going to infuse so much flavor and so much sugar and jams and such. It'll be fine. But if you use unsalted butter, I thought I was the only one who used that. If you use unsalted butter, add 1/4 teaspoon. Take a note on your recipe. All right. That's the first thing I want to talk about. The next thing I want to talk about is this cinnamon and sugar mixture.
We're doing
This
sweet.
cinnamon and sugar mixture is very important to everything we roll. It should, you may ask, how much cinnamon and how much sugar? How you know is enough. You can mix that right together with me now if you like. It should be the color of sand. I like cinnamon a lot, so I tend to make mine. I don't think you can see the color in the camera, but I'll try.
Yeah. Cinnamon into what?
Get some.
So it makes no matter. You can start with a cup of sugar and you can add a teaspoon of cinnamon and then mix it up. If you find that it's still too light, add more. You add more to achieve the color you prefer. I like a light to a medium. I like cinnamon. I think rugelach belongs with cinnamon. It's not too dark. What happens if it's too dark? It becomes bitter. And you don't want that. So mix your cinnamon and sugar mixtures up now. I will wait for you.
I mixed it. How much
Ask
sugar?
question. I say a teaspoon to a cup to start with.
Cup of sugar.
When you're ready, everybody, let me know. Then I'll go on to the next basic ingredient.
Risa,
Yes,
when we mixed it, it came out in like little balls. And then we had to sort of compress it.
you're talking about the dough or the cinnamon and sugar?
The dough,
Little balls that
Yeah.
do you see like orange pockets and white pockets of ingredient?
yeah, very little.
Yeah, if you see large pieces of butter, which is the butter color, and large pockets of cream cheese, you're gonna have to knead it a little bit more.
Got it.
You're good with seeing a little, but you're not good with seeing big pieces. What happens is as you roll it, those bigger pieces of ingredients, they won't roll and they won't bake. There will be a flat blob in the oven and it's finished. So it's a pastry that keeps flaky from the little bits of butter that are just hardly seeable, but sort of visible. That's why we don't overmix it. So Ben,
Yeah,
work your dough a little bit more, okay?
I'm
All right,
working.
the next ingredient I want to show you is brown sugar. Where my rugelach differs from everybody else's, well, lots of people's, I don't use flour at all. I roll on brown sugar. The only time you'll see this morning, if my dough gives me a little bit of trouble, I very, very, very lightly sprinkle the work board just so that the dough doesn't stick to it. And I roll on brown sugar. Today's first rugelach is going to be traditional. I'm going to come over to my work board while you guys are doing your thing. I know lots of you are ready. I'm going to roll my first dough. Now,
Rita,
yes, ma'am.
Rita, do we use light or dark brown sugar?
I like to use light brown sugar. You can use dark, but my preference is light.
Here, could you move over to there? And then I'll use this.
I wanted to show you my rolling pin. Anybody have one of these? Anybody have one of these? These are the latest. I saw it on the cooking program and I bought one. You see the orange thing on the end? It comes with dies and you change them depending on the thickness of your dough. So this is set for the thickness of the rugelach this morning. And I can unscrew these and put on a different die and another die and another die, bigger and smaller. It comes with 4 different measurements. It's kind of fun. So what's the right, how do we roll them? I would say between 1/8 and 1/4. Let's start. Now, if I'm finding, for instance, that this is sticking just a little, I'm going to dust my surface with the smallest amount of flour. I'm gonna try to keep my dough round.
Do we roll all the dough?
Oh, you
Do we
divide
roll-
your dough in half.
Divide
And
the dough
if
in
you,
half.
if you find, Ben, that
Yeah.
it's even easier to divide your dough in thirds to work, it's fine.
Got it.
Quarters, smaller, depends upon how comfortable you are with managing it.
All right. So, yeah.
I'm gonna put the rest in. What are you doing?
So you're gonna sprinkle the sugar on the board.
Brown
Right.
sugar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, stop rolling. Stop rolling. I started it to see how sticky it was. Now I'm going to put lots and lots and lots of brown sugar on my surface. And if you want to look at for a minute over here, I'm putting it right on the brown sugar. I'm pushing it in, and then I'm going to flip it. So both sides are coated with brown sugar,
Both sides.
and then I'm going back to roll.
Both sides of the dough.
Yeah, but-
Brown sugar instead of flour on your work surface.
Should I put these in
And
the-
I'm gonna keep moving it around because I wanna make sure that it's going to lift off my surface. I have another tool I love. You see this? It has a lot of names. I call it a basher. I love it. You can use it for a million things, including bashing garlic, lifting dough, you name it. I'm going underneath my dough because I can tell it's sticking just a little bit. There, it's better.
Well, here.
Work on getting it about an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch thick and put plenty of brown sugar in the process.
You could roll it.
What?
Treat yourself.
Oh, have the other sugar we could
It's getting there, but not yet. It's still thick.
Put it on you.
have the dark brown sugar.
Don't worry about a perfect circle. Of course, we're looking for a circle.
More brown sugar?
This first one is going to be traditional, so it's going to be cinnamon and sugar mixture and nuts.
Keep
wait a minute.
rolling it.
That is traditional. That's the one that a lot of folks prefer. And the only kind I like.
Okay, I need more. Okay. I need more brown sugar.
Okay, my dough is ready. I'm going to wait for you. I love the idea that you're baking with
I'll
me.
check Risa again.
Risa,
Yes,
how thick do we roll it out?
an 1/8 to a 1/4. So like a 1/6 of an inch. I
Okay.
know that seems very technical. It shouldn't be too thin so it's transparent because you want it thicker than that. And you don't want it so thick that the inside, after you roll, the inside is raw.
Can I
Okay.
turn it?
Now that I've got my dough rolled out, I'm going to sprinkle it with my cinnamon and sugar mixture. Liberally.
We can't see.
Like I said, this is a dough that has no sugar in it.
Um,
So everything we infuse in it,
the dough instead of turning the pin.
and if we want it sweet, it has to be that. Now I have a mixture of almonds and walnuts. It doesn't matter what kind of nut you use.
I sprinkle the board, it's sticky.
And I'm going to put that on the dough,
Sprinkle the board.
scattered. I am not going to cover. Here's a basic I want to get close to repeating. Every filling we put on a dough never goes to the edge. All fillings go about a 1/2 inch from the edge. And can you imagine why? Because when you roll it
To the pin.
onto itself, it's going to start oozing out of the sides. That's especially true of jam. So I'm not going any further. Can you see what I've done? Want to take a look?
We don't
Also, I'm
see.
going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to push down lightly on the nuts and the sugar I put on, so it stays put.
This was-
And I'm ready to cut, but I'm going to wait for you. I have a pizza cutter for cutting, which I love. You can use a knife. When each one of you is done and ready, we'll cut them and roll them together.
Do all the dough, forget that.
Yeah, wait a minute, made
You
it.
put jam on it?
No, no.
Not jam yet. Well, I thought we would make the traditional first.
No. Let's
If you prefer to
Yeah.
skip the traditional, you may put jam on. I'm going to do that one next. If you want to do half and half, you can do that too. So the thing you have to know about jam, I was going to do my next demo jam. The thing you have to know about jam is it needs to be a thin layer. Don't be tempted to overfill it. It not only won't bake well because it'll ooze out of everywhere, but it's going to stick to your baking sheet. And then we try to lift it, forget about it. Then you got good scraps to eat, but nothing else. So I realize I have more dough than you have. So if you want to jump over to the jam one, you can with this if you like. And
Lisa,
just yep.
We're not seeing what you're rolling out. We don't
Did he
see.
disappear? No, I'm here.
No, you're here, but your
my
dough
second
isn't
camera.
here.
No, look down. There's a second camera called up Reese's phone.
A second.
Are you on gallery? Go on gallery view. And if you see the second one, that's called Reese's phone. That's where I'm rolling in demo.
We don't
Is
see it.
everybody able to see it?
No.
Yeah.
We
Reese.
see Bill and Ellen and Andy and Molly and you and us.
All right. It's there because there are actually 8 people with us today total.
No,
And I don't know how to help you. I'm definitely there. Keep looking. So if
All right.
you want jam on the first one, the order is sprinkle your cinnamon and sugar, but then your jam, and then everything you want else over it. I want that cinnamon and sugar in the dough. So that's why we sprinkle it first. But let me take what I'm doing here and pretend that I'm making half of it jam. So I can show you. Adrian, you
Oh,
can't
now
see
I
it?
see it.
Yay, excellent.
I don't see it now. See, you
All
might
right,
not-
Larry
I
just
see it. I
disappeared,
see
but
it.
he's coming back. For some
I think I
reason, it
see
took,
the counter and chocolate chips.
yep, Larry's having big time trouble. The picture will return, but right now it's gone again. It's all Adrian's fault. Right.
Good chocolate chips.
This?
You just said-
I spread the jam.
Do you need more?
He's trying to get back, so I'll just do it. He's back up, it's coming. There we are. I spread the jam,
Is it
back of a spoon.
quarter-inch?
I like to use a little offset, little spatula. You can use a conventional knife. Spread it thin.
Nice.
I'm going to make half of this jam,
Wait,
and I'm going to avoid
what we're doing separately,
from the edge.
all together?
So now I'm doing this 2 ways. Obviously, you can do it any way you like.
Put sugar on it?
That's what I think. She
I
said.
would,
Okay.
I realized I could use just a bit more jam. By the way, I'm using strawberry jam this morning. Raspberry jam works great.
I just,
Basically do any of it. This is what you want to avoid. You want to avoid fillings that are runny. If you open up some jam and you find there's liquid on the top, you've got to work that in or pour it off, because the runnier it is, the less you'll be successful. Now I got my pizza cutter and I'm cutting. I'm cutting it just exactly like a pizza pie. I'm going top to bottom a cut,
Wait.
right through it a
What's
cut,
the-
right through it again a cut. So that gives me
Oh, my
8.
fingers
But the
are-
8 on this piece of dough I have is way too big. So each one of those I'm going to cut again. The whole idea is that if you segment it, they'll be approximately equal size. Why is that
Anyway,
important?
go to
It's
this.
important because it will bake evenly
I don't wanna
and
put-
consistently,
That's a.
and everything will be baked at the same time.
Here's where she's working.
That makes
It's
a
not
big,
showing it.
Hmm?
It's not showing it.
Okay, then go back.
can you see me?
It does have a view, it does show it.
All right, questions,
That's the
everybody?
view.
I've got a cookie sheet ready
Well,
No, they're
with
not.
parchment
Cut
paper
it
on it.
down.
Cookie
We missed it.
well,
And I'm going
What
to roll
shape
my
it should
first
be.
one. You roll from
Let
the
it be
outside
square,
wide
goes
end
one.
to the middle tip. And you
I
roll.
can't see.
If you find your dough is super sticky and it's not quite coming up, you can put a
This
little
way,
flour
yeah.
on your fingers, just a little, and roll it with a little bit of flour on your fingers until it releases. You can also slightly release it with.
Risa,
Yes, ma'am. Talk to me, Ellen.
after you, we can't really see what you're doing, at least we can't.
Well, we'll come closer. Larry. can
Okay,
go.
after you cut it in quarters, like a piece of pizza, do you then slice each piece or do you use
You
one whole
go.
quarter?
You want equal, so you go half, then you come through the center again, and again, and again. Not right?
There'll be rectangular
Like big
pieces?
triangles?
No.
So that you're always intersecting until you end up with equal sections. I have a big piece of dough,
How
so
big
I
should
make
they be?
more than 8. Actually, it's supposed to end up with 12. Every half dough should,
We're not
I'm
doing
trying to remember the recipe because I make it in such large quantities,
I know. Be what?
but does it,
Little
the
strips?
original recipe,
The
I don't know.
final shape, Risa, before we roll them up, should be like rectangular strips.
No rectangle. All right, Larry's gonna try very hard to focus on this.
Let's focus. Josh should try to get rid of your camera and go.
Not now, next time. We're not playing with cameras. All right. I'm going to tip it. Take a look. See if this helps. Can you see it better?
No, raise it up.
You're looking at the wrong camera.
You got to look at the other camera, which is called my Reese's phone. I'm standing next to my cutting board. I made a pizza pie. I went through, then I went through, then I took each section and I went through so they were staying even.
It looks like
And I just
triangles.
kept doing that.
There she is.
Does that make any sense?
Oh, now we see.
You go through it, get 12 equal sections.
Oh, okay. We got it.
Got it? Ellen, does
Yeah.
that help you?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Does she
So
have that?
now you start at the wide end. The tip is where you end
How does she know?
and you
Oh,
roll.
oh, oh.
How's your dough? Is it sticky or is it beautiful?
Okay.
Did any of you have to add a little flour to their cutting board?
Yeah.
I'm gonna come look.
So
Soon
it's
as I'm
like
done
this.
rolling,
It's triangle.
soon as I'm done rolling.
No, I have a mic.
And when you run out of dough, but I actually have
Yeah.
some other things to show you, it will be for you
Yeah.
to watch. Because the
No,
next
with the
piece of
knife,
dough is
go
going to
down,
be
go back and forth.
rugelach that has a different shape.
Fine.
Okay.
So I took my big piece of dough.
I don't know. Risa, do they go on a grease
They go on, they
tray?
go, Ellen, they
Yeah.
go on, greased is just fine, but I always use parchment paper. Here, can you
Ask her
see
to
what I've
put it on.
done?
Parchment paper.
What
Can
else
you
you-
see me watching my
Okay.
camera?
Ask
So
her.
I put a piece of parchment paper down, which does not need to be greased,
That's what
and
I'm-
it's easy cleanup. Otherwise, yes, you can spray it with Pam spray. I suggest you spray it with Pam spray if you don't have parchment paper.
Enough?
You probably could use foil.
There.
I have parchment paper.
Parchment is
Yeah.
really the
I'm gonna
best.
press the triangle.
You got triangles?
I'm gonna come see what you're doing in a minute. I'm just trying to clear mine.
I can't do this.
real
Yeah.
fast. I'm making more than you
Big
because it's a
triangles?
larger piece of dough.
Oh, we're never gonna.
You want to roll them tight, lightly.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't want them
Okay.
to be too loose.
So,
Wait a minute.
And the seam side down.
what's
You
that?
know that point that you end up with? That's what it's sitting on. That's the tush.
What is
Because
she-
that will keep it closed.
I don't know what she said.
Any questions, just ask.
When we have it in triangles, then what do we do?
You can't see can you see my demo? Yeah. Okay, come look at the big picture over here at my house. Can you see, Ben? I go from the wide end
Oh,
and
from the
I
wide.
roll it to
Oh,
the
we got
narrow end until it meets the end. And then I pick it up and I put it on my cookie sheet. Does that help?
In.
You
Yeah,
see,
so you-
I can't see your work surface. I'd love to be able to watch you. I can see the Gavins' house, but
We're gonna have.
that's the only house I can see.
It doesn't matter.
I'm almost
Yeah,
done.
Four.
Then I'll come supervise you guys. And then we're going to
Yeah,
take another piece of dough
No, I'm against.
and we're going to roll a different kind.
Roll. It's not. It's so very thick. Oh.
If it's a little sticky, just put a
Okay.
little bit of flour
And
on
what
your
end did you take
fingertips.
down? I wasn't here.
Yes, wide end.
Teresa, what end?
Yeah.
Which end goes down, the wide end without the wide end or the point end?
The little pointy end is what it sits on the cookie. You're going to see the pointy end. You do not see. It's sitting on that.
I got you.
You didn't press
Sitting on the pointy end.
Put it on.
Just about done.
Put it anyplace else.
Boy, freezer's
Some
gonna
of
be.
these are gonna be bigger.
That's okay.
See, now I'm finding I had a little pocket of butter on this little one, and it's sticking to the sheet. That's what happens. If I wasn't near to the end, I would get some flour. I'm just gonna make my way through, clean up my surface, and then I'm going to take the next piece of dough out.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to help.
Yeah, you
Here,
are.
put that on. It'd be much easier to pick it up and slice.
All right. I'm gonna go spy on you. In between rolling,
What?
you want to clean the board off. Because if you have anything wet down there, when you start to roll your next piece, it's gonna stick.
We rolled all of it.
You don't have to wash it,
Did
but I
we
highly
roll
recommend
it?
She may be making.
wipe this down.
No, she meant her stick.
And then I would even, like my board's still kind of wettish, so I'm gonna sprinkle just a little bit of flour. See, here's my finished sheet.
Look.
You can see. And at this point, I would have put it in the oven. When you guys eventually bake yours, I recommend you first chill them if you can. Because unless Molly, is yours going in the oven right away? No. So I recommend after we're done today, because we're doing rapid fire stuff, I recommend that you chill them. Either throw the pan in the freezer or in the refrigerator for maybe 15 minutes. They'll hold their shape better. This next dough will show us, because I'm watching my time, we lost a
Now I
little
should
bit.
probably roll out the rest of this stuff.
Well, show where?
This next dough,
But
we're
this
going to,
it.
What?
it's going to be rolled in a sheet
No.
like a rectangle.
What is she?
All right.
We'll make
cut
it
that all right here.
Yours. And then we do
I can already feel this dough is a little sticky from sitting. I dusted my board with a
Then
bit
let
of
me-
flour.
we'll just
Let me gush it.
Should
together.
take
These are going to be used two ways.
okay.
We're making schnecken out of some of it. Schnecken means small snail. It's
What did she say?
a family recipe. Who's clapping dough? Is that what I'm listening to? Good. All right. So Larry just took out a piece of dough for me from the fridge, and it's a little bit too cold. So I'm going back to the original. This next time with this next dough is not a circle. It's a rectangle. Before I go too far ahead, how far are you, Bill and Ellen? Did you finish the first sample?
Yes,
Yes,
All right. Adrian and Ben, where are you?
We finished the first sample.
Fantastic. So and I can see Andy and Molly here. Wait, this is a rectangle. Also roll to the same thickness. Also rolled on brown sugar.
Okay.
If it's super sticky, use a little flour first. Going to be a lot easier to lift up.
You want me to get you
Just a
some?
little.
Oh. Just,
It's not a roll, way to the dough.
This is a quick way to do it. To do the same thing, the same flavor, but it has a different shape.
Different shape. I like that shape. Good enough.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to show you the finish.
I'm sorry.
This is what we just made looks like, but I think you know that. These are the traditional ones. The next shape we're making is gonna look like this.
Look.
Some are going to be, oh, the jam is sticking.
Yeah.
Some are gonna be round pinwheels.
Round and round.
Some are going to be
I
very
know.
similar to the board that are upright.
pick it up.
So we roll.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to fill in the
You
spot.
can't do it, it's gonna come apart.
You need more.
Which
I
is
move it
good.
down, make certain it doesn't stick to
It's
the
not
board.
gonna work.
I
The
don't
other dough,
Hey, what
Or I
the?
want it to roll
Here,
nicely.
let's see.
it's gonna come apart.
Here,
You
I
can't
can
do
feel a
that.
little sticky point right here where there's a little bit of butter.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
No, it's rolling.
flour on that. I'm almost ready for the next, but I'm happily going to wait it out.
So this is a rectangle.
yeah.
By the way, there's a proper way to roll. Here's a tip from me to you. You always roll from the center out. It doesn't matter what you're making, you roll from the center out. Anybody have a guess why? No, you're so busy.
That's where it's the thickest.
That's where it's thickest. Andy knows with all the Hummintosh you may make it that out. You don't want the center thick and the edges thin.
Wait.
So always start rolling from the center out, the center out, and the center out. That's the right way to do it. When you're all done with your rectangles, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do.
How big a rectangle?
Done with your rectangle? I am done with my, well, it's less about how big because I don't know the piece of your dough. And it's more about your finished thickness. If it's a quarter to a sixth or to an eighth, like about a sixth of an inch, then that's the right dimension. And you'll see, it doesn't matter how big it is with this kind of rolling. Did that help you, Ben?
Yep.
Okay. When you're all done, I'll show you the next. I guess I will show you the next now. These are going to be filled. These are going to be filled with actually almost anything you want. The family Schnecken recipe starts with cinnamon and sugar on the top. Always cinnamon and sugar. Get it into that dough. Leave a press on it. Then,
Here I go. Ready?
Yeah.
nuts should be chopped, but they don't have to be ground.
Oh.
Okay.
Then you don't have to do this, but that has a little bit of coconut in it. I know that some people, there's two kinds of people. You either love coconut or you don't like it at all. Then I have raisins, and I plumped the raisins. That means that I took
Enough?
the dried
Enough.
raisins
You're gonna, okay,
and I
I don't know.
let them sit
She
in
froze.
a liquid to make them soft. If you use raisins in rugelach, they have to be plumped, because if they end up on the outside of your pastry in the oven, they'll dry out and burn. You really want to keep them inside. So these are options. You can use chocolate chips. You can use nuts right now. You can spread it even with a little bit of
Yes,
jam
and-
if you like.
No jam.
Cover your, and
If we want to make like half and half, how should we
Yeah.
arrange that? How should we arrange that on our rectangle?
so you want to make half and half this other one I'm going to show you? Is
Yeah,
that- Yeah, I would, for the moment, I'd cut that in half and set half aside on the side, and we'll come back to it. So it needs to be,
long way or
it
the
needs to
circle?
be long, horizontal. You want a long piece. Yes, you do. Thank you for asking. Yep. Now I'm going to show you two ways to use this for two different recipes, but the rectangle is the same.
Yeah, put some, not too much.
Let's see.
Give me
I want to
some.
make something chocolatey. Not yet. Let's see.
Okay,
I'm gonna put in a few chocolate chips. I could have used jam when I put in it.
No, we're not.
Now I'm going to take my rolling pin and just push down on the ingredients a little, get them in there. And then when you all get there, I'm going to show you how to roll it. I hope you can see it in that other camera, but I'm going to wait until you tell me. Can you see what I've done so far? It's a little out of picture.
Where's that little?
No,
What do you want? No?
yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, I'm rolling it up just like a jelly roll. That's all. Roll it up like a jelly roll. Remember, your filling should not be too full of jams and jellies, because they're going to squirt right out of the edge.
Right.
And I'm rolling it up. And this is where my basher works out great. If I have anything that's like sticky, I come up under it. So it holds shape.
I don't
And
know.
I roll,
What?
She's doing,
roll, and you want to make it tight, right? And it's
Rolling
okay.
a long way.
That little break
Yeah.
in the dough
okay.
doesn't make any difference. I
Okay.
am not pushing
Oh,
any ends. I'm leaving the
No.
ends open,
So now we'll just have to
and
do.
I'm rolling and I'm rolling until I get to the end.
She rolls it up in a
I
roll.
wonder if that's too big.
And then I'm moving it over, and I'm waiting to see how
Well,
you're.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let me cut them in half. Because
In the meanwhile, can you see mine?
Do I,
No,
Yeah.
let's try it.
I'm going to I'm grabbing another cookie sheet.
No, another cookie sheet.
Now, don't forget, I'm doing two different things with this one.
Where were the knives?
I'm gonna wait till you can see me. And when you're ready, let me know. Meanwhile, I think I'm going to spray my muffin tin, because that's the second variation.
yeah, that one is.
I want to make sure we save time for the two savory fillings, because they are absolutely awesome. So yum. Did anybody make the savory fillings? Yeah.
On a roll. Is that possible?
Okay,
We roll
I'm
this up.
going to take a sharp knife,
Big one.
Yeah.
But listen.
and I'm going to cut
Now, get away, it'll come out.
pieces of the roll up. Ellen, do you have any kind of question? I'm going to cut how big? About an inch.
He's cutting an inch.
Are you able to see that?
I think we're done.
About an inch. It's a nice fat roll,
That's gonna
and
be
I'm going to set it upright.
I guess so.
Can you see my sample?
It's over here.
There's my sample.
I don't know if we can.
Now, what's gonna happen?
Roll it into,
Sometimes it bakes
Yeah.
upright and sometimes it falls over. It doesn't matter. They're yummy either way. But it is possible to put them, I'm taking an inch cut
Although
and
unfortunately.
start them right off from the beginning,
I don't
putting
know.
it flat like a pinwheel. I'm going to make it both ways.
So bring that close.
I'm going to stop here, see how you're doing, and I want to show you the Schnecken recipe, which is just a variation. I did not include it. This is a bonus recipe. So when you guys are able to watch, I'm going to show you something.
Which way
It's
you
all,
put-
the
Yeah.
Schnecken recipe is in the cookbook, page 290. Yeah, that looks great.
Reese, are you laying these flat or on
So
edge?
you can do both ways, and I demoed both, but I know it's not as easy to see. Some I have standing up, and some I have laying down like a pinwheel. They're both correct, and they're both more variations. Yeah. Yeah, and some of the ones that stand up are gonna flatten out anyhow.
Oh, she stands.
So I'm going to continue to cut my 1-inch sections, but I'm going to make Schnecken. I have a muffin tin,
Muffin too.
and in each muffin tin, people, I sprayed it. I'm putting a half a teaspoon of butter
yeah, let's
and
just,
a half a teaspoon of brown sugar. These are little cinnamon rolls. And they're very good, and the variation is in the cookbook. I wanted to show it to you because you do the same thing with it you're doing now. You rolled it up like that.
problem is in the baking, you gotta bake it so it's right.
You rolled it up like that.
Is this one rolled?
Yeah.
So all you have to do
That
then
was
is to add some butter and some brown sugar to a muffin tin, and you have another variation. These are fun. They look like little cinnamon rolls. And to that, I'm going to add little brown sugar on top of the butter, little brown sugar. So you kind of get a caramelized bottom, and you flip them. They cool. There's my wrapper. I knew I
I
had
think
one.
we'll just make another batch.
You flip them when they've cooled, but they're still warm. Or you can take a little knife, go around the edges, and they'll pop
There's a
out.
lot of,
If anyone's listening.
there's a lot of art.
Okay, I owe this one a little butter. Now I'm going to take the same roll that you're making now. Where's my sample? And I'm going to put that little pastry right on top of the brown sugar. Okay, so here's my lovely piece of pastry, and it goes on my brown sugar, open like the pinwheel look. 1, 2.
She tells you about.
What
is that?
They're really,
No.
I'm gonna try the 12. I'm definitely going to chill them. Getting my sticky.
No, it won't fit like this way.
I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna take a peek at what you're doing.
Yeah, I know. Don't do it.
More sugar.
Did you all get to see what I'm doing for the variation? I hope. Or not,
This is gonna be
that's okay.
Larry can't go
Oh, look, that one's yours.
Oh, here, I just got it.
So good, so good. All right, those are my schnecken. Actually, I can take this one and put
No, I mean, she takes it.
That's my second variation. Now I'm gonna come watch you. What happened? Oh, we have Marla.
Have hers down like that, see,
What?
these things.
When-
she-
I need to see your beautiful face. Oh, yay, I love it. At the David. Fantastic, love it. How you doing, Ellen and Bill?
Great. So,
He's very happy, Rita.
Oh, well, I'm happy he's happy then. And Ben, oh, you're gonna fatten up today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you tell me. I'd love to see how you've done it.
I'm
I
making-
am actually,
Probably can't eat them, but I'm making them with him. Can we, can I ask you what we have to preheat the oven to?
350. 350, about 20 minutes. This is how you know they're done. They should be golden brown and they should look set,
I know.
but golden brown. And if the temptation is to eat them from the cookie sheet, don't do it. They will not hold their shape. They taste good, you burn your tongue. They won't hold their shape until they cool. So, but here's the tip for you. This is really important. They're all important, but this is important. If you've done the jam variation and you've just taken them out of the oven and you can see some of the jam spilled out with a little knife.
Listen.
You're welcome, Marla. With a little knife, while it's hot, scoop the jam back in or move it off, because once it cools, that stucky jam is going to stick to your parchment paper. It's going to rip the rugelach. So you just want to get rid of it. Take a little knife, scoop it to the side, little knife, scoop it to the side, so that it's much easier to lift off the sheet once it's cool. All right. I'm getting ready for the two savory ones real fast, but they're well worth it. I'm going to flip over my cutting board. The savory does not use sugar.
You said you should
No
keep-
sugar.
what do you think I'm doing? Look at me.
Okay.
This one will use flour as needed only.
Gonna put the jam on
I'm
first.
also changing over my rolling pin. You can clean yours off because I don't want them to be sweet. And I'm going to start to roll it in a circle,
Now she's rolling.
To the table.
just like
When it
we
comes
did
to
with
temperature, put it
the
in.
traditional.
That she said about 20 minutes.
And I'm going to talk to you about it. Let's just roll it.
When the light is
Get what we want. I need to make sure it's not going to stick.
off.
It's pretty good, but I'm going to use just a bit of flour. Just so I'm happy. Just a little flour, not much. Too much. Get rid of the extra. And I'm going to roll it. This is going back into the pizza shape. Back into the pizza shape. Not the nicest circle, but it will work.
Can I make a suggestion?
And we don't want it too thick.
Open. So it
We're
doesn't.
still looking for about the 1/6 of an inch, somewhere between a 1/4 and an 1/8. And I'm rolling from the center out. And I'm very close to what I want. Now I'm going to talk to you real fast about the two fillings, which I'm very excited about. They're really wonderful fillings. This side is just a little too thick. All right. Who made the fillings? Anyone? That's okay, because then it gives me the opportunity to talk at you. I have never made a savory rugelach ever until now, but I've seen recipes forever. I'll just say the one, I'm going to get my recipe. The one that's the olive filling is like a tapenade. It's delicious. It has so much salt in it, though, that those of you who did not salt their dough had nothing to worry about. It's wonderful. And what's more, if you have extra when you make it, you can use it as a dip to a bread on a cracker, just about anything. It has in it peppers, sun-dried tomatoes, olives, garlic, parsley, mozzarella cheese. It says salt to taste. I wouldn't salt it, not at all. But if some black pepper would be nice. You spread it on your dough. It's the same rules as jam, but that means to a half an inch from the edge. But you can make it thicker. Now, if you still have dough left while I talk at you,
No.
you can keep rolling. If you don't, you should watch.
She,
I don't put anything on the dough, no flour, no sugar, nothing. The mixture has plenty of flavor.
to make the pizza thing.
Okay.
And the other one I'm gonna show you
Let's do
fast.
it.
is other
Put this
filling.
in, everything on it.
The other filling tastes just like spanakopita.
Watch it.
And if you can imagine a buttery dough that's flaky with a spanakopita filling,
We need
you
another.
will make it over and over again if you like that kind of thing. It is delicious. It also has cheese in it. Obviously, the spanakopita filling has something like 3 cheese and sour cream in it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to do half this one and half the other because I'm a little nervous about time and I want to say a few words. So I'm going to do half this mixture. Now I'm gonna go grab the other mixture and do it on the other side. This filling, by the way, whatever's left, you can freeze it and bring it out to do it again. Or get some puff pastry or some phyllo dough and use that to make little spanakopita. This spanakopita mixture is very traditional: oil, onions, garlic, spinach, parsley, feta cheese, grated cheese, Parmesan cheese, and sour cream. It's delicious. I threw in a little bit of red peppers because I can't help myself. So half my dough is going to be
I put
one
it there.
half the other.
At least 10 minutes.
I'm watching that. for sure.
Right,
Giving it a head start.
and then I'm gonna spread it. Now, because it's thicker, it's a little harder to roll, but not impossible. In fact, this thing is so cold, I'm gonna use my hands to press it down.
It was
Alright.
way too thick. The dough was way
They
too.
are totally best eaten hot out of the oven now, obviously, when you let them cool.
You know,
And then I'm gonna cut it pizza style again.
It
I'm
wasn't.
gonna cut it pizza style, but because my pizza cutter has pieces on it, I'm gonna use my knife, doing the same thing. I'm going half,
Move out of the way.
top
Move
to
out.
bottom, half, side to side, half each segment again,
That's, well,
half each segment again. And I'm going to keep going half, until everything is divided. Going to get a cookie sheet. Parchment paper on it. And I'm going to roll them. That's all. And because it's so bountiful, I'm making sure that it isn't too thick. Can you see me at all?
so like 11.
Are you able to see? It's a nice, fat, packed,
Do it sometime. 'cause I
filled
have
pastry.
great
And
pieces.
it doesn't ooze out like some of the fillings for the traditional rugelach. So you're not gonna have such a mess. It has cheese to bind it. The dough is just perfect now, actually.
Look.
All right, I'm going to roll one more. Then I want to come over and see you. I know we did a lot in a very short period of time. I think this was a terrific team. It was really good. So, how's it going at the Gavins house? Did you finish all your dough? Okay, I want 2 things from everybody. I want a picture, if you will. I want to see what your finished product looks like. And I want to hear your critique, although I know it'll be delicious. And I would love to know if I do this again, if you want me to do this again, what you would like me to do. Sky's the limit. We probably won't do anything with meat in it. When I have the cooking class, they really don't prefer meat, but it can be all pastries. It can be baking. It can be baklava. It can be, I don't care. Try me. Happy to do it. Ben and Adrian, how'd you
Yep.
do?
Well,
Well,
I
this
think
is a
we got it.
learning.
It's in the oven.
It's in the oven.
I
All
think
right.
one of the mistakes that we made is
Yeah.
we didn't take out the dough soon enough, so it was hard.
It's pretty hard.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
All
so I
right.
had to really lean into it.
Yeah. But
the
no,
roll.
but the good thing is next time when you just make it at your leisure, you can play with it. Just don't forget, if your finished rolling things got very warm, you might want to chill them before you put them in the oven, but looks like everybody's in the oven but me.
Yeah.
And Ellen and Bill, what do you think?
Terrific.
Terrific, except I'm having trouble spreading the jam
All to the sugar.
over the sugar and the nuts and stuff. Do I
Okay.
just
Well,
stop?
here's another secret
Oh,
for you.
Yeah.
This is what I learned when I took a Wilton decorating class.
Wait.
When we spread on top of what we're spreading. Meaning, you know how when you might frost a cake and you got crumbs all over in that frosting as you're frosting it. The
Yeah.
idea is to put a blob of, let's say, the jam, and then you take a spoon and you spread on the top of the pile, moving it to where all the areas. Do you follow it? And when
Yes.
you stay on top of the pile and the jam and your spoon doesn't touch the dough, then it spreads well or better.
I have a comment.
Larry has, oh, by the way, yeah, Larry's the cameraman. Everybody thank Larry.
Are they using jams or
Think
preserves?
of course.
Yeah, there is a difference between jams and preserves, right? And you can use either one. And I would suggest as it comes out of the jar, you put it in a small bowl and mix it really well so there aren't any gelatinous parts sticking up and that there's no liquid that's sitting on top of it. What are you using, jam or preserves, El?
I'm using preserves,
Okay, so
raspberry preserves.
it's
But
tighter
Bill-
actually.
Bill figured it out. Bill got
No,
it.
I listened to what you said, Lisa, spreading on.
I love it. I've got, what's really fun is that I've got 1, 2, 3 guys. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Some of us
Well-
like,
He'll be ready to come in the kitchen and help you.
Oh, I would love that. Let's hope for a better time and a return to the kitchen when we're ready, but we know it will be coming. We just have to be patient. I've enjoyed this tremendously. It's a fast hour.
I
Send me
have,
every-
Lisa, I have another question. Is there any way, is the recipe, now I have a tapenade recipe from the synagogue cookbook. The other filling for the other savory filling, is that in the cookbook?
No, but I'll send it. I sent it to you. It was on the link. The link
Okay.
for the ingredients and the recipe, there's, if you scroll down, it's there.
Okay,
They were both there, but I didn't expect you all to make all of it, but I really, thank you, Josh. Yes, it's always a plug for the cookbook, but preaching to the choir. But anyways, tell your friends. I'm very happy to repeat this, to do something else in February. I love this little group. It can be our little cooking group, and it can stay just as it is, or we can add people. And it was great seeing Linda as a lurker and Shelley as a lurker and Marla. Any
Well, we-
questions for me?
no, we just want to thank you. It is so
Yes.
good of you to give of your time to help
You're
us.
welcome.
You're
And
wonderful.
thanks to
Thanks,
Larry
Larry.
again, our tech guy.
Harry,
the one
thank
Yeah, he gets to eat the goodies, so
Thank
So-
you. This was fun.
on. Happy to keep you busy on a Sunday morning.
But
All right.
now we
Stay
have a
safe.
fight over who cleans up.
Oh, no comment. Stay safe, stay well, stay together.
You're awesome. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Marla. Bye-bye now. Be well.
Okay,
You
bye.
Thanks, Teresa.
Was it a close us off?
I got it.
Okay.